Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we'll see about Python request module. So Python request module is basically used for API calls. So we'll be using HTTP request, and for the HTTP APIs, we'll be using this request module. So basically, we'll have a explicit video regarding what is API and what are all the methods there. But since we are just concentrating on the request module, I'll just directly go with the methods here. So mostly for APIs, like we are having the majorly five methods: get, post. So we are having get, post, put, patch, and delete. So basically, get call is nothing but it's just retrieving the information. So we'll just get the resource which is already there. So when it comes to post, you are just creating a new resource. And post is also more or less same, but it is kind of item potent. First, it will check whether this like resource is created or not, and it will create a new source. Check and create a new source. If it is already present, if not, it will update the entire resource. When it comes to patch, it's kind of modifying only a few parameters, or say if you want to modify one or two parameters of that body, so you can use this patch request. And for the delete, it's straightforward. So you will be using the delete for deleting the entire resource. So these are all the major methods for the API calls. And there are so few applications. So for API, right? So there are multiple combinations and complex operations that can be done via API. So you can use this, and there is something called status codes. So for the HTTP status codes, uh, for get operations, just to check whether it is for a successful request, right? You will get a 200, and 201 is for post. Mostly for some application, it's based on the application design only, but as per the standards, for 200 is for the get operation, and 201 is for post, put, patch, or whatever it is, and 204 is for usually delete. But we can't expect this with all the applications, because it's totally based on the application developer. But the standard is this. And there are few error codes as well, like if it is a bad request, say your for the bad request it is 400, and 404 is not found, no, resource not found. So that is 404. So these are all the error codes. And there are also error codes from the server side. So which starts with 300, 301, or something like that. So these are all the codes here. So we'll directly jump into the coding part of it. So basically, we have to import the request module. So I have already installed the request module, else you can use this command to install it. pip3 install request. So this is the package name. So we have to import this, and say, just in this case, you have to have a web server or a web application where you can use it for exploring this API, right? So as of now, what I'm using is, I'm just using a simulator kind of a thing, which we have it as a open source. So JSON placeholder, this is what I'm just going to use it. So JSON placeholder is nothing but a kind of which is used for a API testing. So I am just using this. So here it is having few of the so if you see here, it is having multiple resources here. So if you are able to see here, slash posts is one resource, comments is one resource, album, photos, to dos, and users. These are all the endpoints, API endpoints, which is readily available. So we'll be using this. So let me just start with a request, first request. So let me just start here. Request dot get. So since we are using the get method, you are using request dot get, and before to that, so you need a URL, right? We'll just copy paste this JSON placeholder, right? JSON placeholder.com, and say I'm just going to get the post. So you are using the get URL. So it can be a common, right? It can be URL. URL doesn't have any methods here, at least in this case. So I'm just putting inside the putting in, the URL variable inside here, so you can get it. So if first we'll just see what are all the methods that are available. So get call to print the status code, right? You can use this to print the status code. You can use the method called whatever variable and status code. So it will just print if it is a success request, it will print 200, and say you just need to get the output of it, or this will just print the object. So if you just need you can use raw text, or you can use text. So this will print everything in a text, and also you can print everything in a JSON format. So all these things are already there. So let us just print and see here. Okay, so I have been giving the URL wrong here. So the actual URL is https json placeholder dot type a code, and the endpoint and the resource I'm using is post. So we have multiple things, comments and everything. So this is just nothing but this application, this fake application, or a simulated API response, simulated API testing tool is having a resource called post, comments and everything. So this is the base URL. So always a API consists of a base URL and also a endpoint. So in this case, https json placeholder.com typecode.com is the base URL, and slash post is the resource here. So we'll just print and check the response value in the JSON. So this is the response here. Let me just pretty print it. So to print in a kind of a JSON format or a indentation format, you can use the preprint method, sorry, preprint library. So instead of print, you can just use preprint, so that it will just print it with a clear indentation, it in a readable format. See, now you are able to read it, right? Previously it was everything like kind of a raw data. So you are just able to see it, and instead of JSON also there is something called text method. So again it will just print everything in a text, clear text. You can't okay, it's not a callable. So you can just print it here as a simple text. So everything is printed as a binary text or a simple text here. So here you are able to see, right? But what's the use of it? So since it is a very no, like a simple text, you can't even kind of handle that, since you are going to use it. If you are going to print using JSON, you can just traverse through the key value pairs and everything, and also you can see specific, you can print specific IDs or something like that. And also here, when it comes to this URL endpoint, right, always feel free to explore the URL endpoint. So since you have this post, right, So post is nothing but consider it as a folder, and you can also this is, and again this is totally based on the application developer who has built the application, but most of the people will follow the standards, and hence you can also use this kind of a thing, like you can mention the id. So uh, based on the API response, what as a web developer or something like that, they will have some key for kind of what do you call, a key for the entire resource, and the entire resource key here is its a id. So if you are able to see the id, so I'm just directly putting the id as 100, and my expectation is only the hundreds post will get no, like listed here. So here you are able to see here, right? So it is listed here, and also the status code, as I said, 200 is for the get call, successful get call. And also instead of giving the this thing directly, I can use something called params. So params is nothing but it's kind of a key value pair, where you can give based on like a kind of a filter kind of a thing. You can use that as a filter kind of a thing. So let me just put the title here, say consider title is this is again considering only. So say if they have allowed the params and all, they can also restrict that you should not filter using params or something like that. They have the flexibility, but since I'm just trying it out, so let us just see if this is possible. So I'm just filtering based on the JSON here. Okay, again it has automatically sorry, filtered based on the params here. So again it has automatically filtered based on the param, which is nothing but key is equal to title, and also value is equal to this value. And you can also give it in some other way. Okay, so as I said, it is a key value pair, you can parse it as a dictionary. So title is my key, and the values, this is this one, right? So this is another way of sending a API request. So instead of putting everything in the URL, kind of hard coding everything in the URL, let it be, let the URL be the simpler one. But instead of giving it entirely into the URL itself, what I can do is I can just parse as params. Params is equal to params. So params is nothing but the like keyword argument here. So for the key params, I'm just giving this variable as params. So let us just check it. So it should be giving the same output here. See, so it is what will happen is, if you are giving like this, right, the URL is, the URL will transformed into like this entire URL and a question mark title like this. So script will automatically take care of it. Instead of giving it directly, you can use this as well. The request module will take care of this. So in backend, if you are giving like this, basically what it will do is it will just have the URL here, and it will also add the key value pairs using the question mark, which I state like showed previously. So this is one thing. So we'll just go with the post call here. So if you are you know the format, right? So let me just change the format here. So post content. I'll create a variable called post content here. So this is one dictionary, and here what I can do is I can create a user ID as 10, but ID as 101. So 101st post I am using it. So I'll give a simple body. So we'll just give the package to Python channel name itself. Package to Python is creating this post, and title also I'll give. Plus the channel name here. So here what I can do is I can push the contents. Post request is equal to request dot post. So the main mandatory fields for the post request usually is like you mandatorily need a URL. So here I am giving the URL. And again you need a body. So for the body what I am trying for the body data, so data is the keyword argument for the body, so I am just giving it as post content. And apart from that there is something called headers as well. Say like I am just giving everything by default. And also there is something called cookies, headers, and multiple additional parameters you can give for the headers, but I'm just going to go ahead with this post request with the limited arguments. So since this is a simulator tool, like we can't see or we can't check whether it is already pushed it in the backend, and whether it is showing after we push or not. That kind of testing we can't do. Maybe one day I'll just no. Eventually we will see more of network automation topics or some application oriented things. So in those things, in those videos, like we'll see a original or not a mock-up API calls, where we can post the resource and see the output, or see whether it is created from the backend. So as of now, since this is just for the testing, and this is a simulator environment, right now after creating we will not be able to see whether it is created or not. But let us just check based on the status code. So what I said, so previously for the status code for a post call is 201, right? So I'm just going to print the status code here. So if it is printed the status code here as 201, then it is very well known as the post request is successful. So let us just see here. So I got the post request as 201. So now you are able to see here, right? It is the post request is successful. And when it comes to this request module, I'll request everyone to go through this documentation, which is a very well detailed no like documentation for the request module from the Python. Python is kind of giving this document. So as I said, like there are multiple combination. You can also consider the basic thing is you need a in case of a real-time environment, you are using this API calls to access a application or something like that. So mostly it will be secured, right? You just need to provide a username password even for using a get call. So for some applications usually people will kind of give a API call for the get resource. They won't provide the security and all. Like they can access directly. For post only, they need the API key or auth bearer key or something like that, or a basic auth. Basic auth is nothing but it's a combination of username and password, which is encoded into 64 bits. So there are multiple encoding mechanisms which will transform your basic username and password into a kind of encoded string, so that can be given it. So these are all the multiple API methods. So we'll see detailedly and kind of a standardization what are all the HTTP standards that is present for security and for headers and everything. We'll see it in a different video. So today we are just going to explore only the request module. So we are just limiting our scope of it. So you can go through this. I'll just pin this document in the I'll just pin it in, I'll just pin it here. So now what you can do, what you can see is like as I said, this is the simple get request. So you are using this request.get and you are giving some URL here. And also like when it comes to post, the mandatory things, two mandatory things are, one is URL and the another one is data. And again for the other things, right, put delete or something, everything you can have this here. This is the method dot delete dot put dot patch or something like that. And for the request status code for the request module for delete operation is 204. So as I said, you can also pass the parameters in URLs. So this is one way of doing it. The first way is so like this, the static way. Okay, but if you are if you are giving us a separate dictionary and then you are passing it as the params, again in the backend what it will happen is it will strip this dictionary and then make the URL as in this format and then send the request. So both are same. So if you print it and see the URL here, so this is how it is transformed into. Even we can see that in our same case itself. Let me just print and show you. Get call dot URL. So I'll just show you how the URL is transformed into. See, the URL is transformed into this https json placeholder.ipcode.com is the base URL, slash post is the resource, and here these are all the params. What is the params here? Title equal to, and this plus and all because for the spacing, based on the spacing. So as per the http standards, when there is a space, it will add a plus character in between. So this is the like URL format. And for the response content also, like there are multiple ways. One is text, we saw it, right? So it will print in the like direct text it will print, or you can print it as a binary response content using this just plus content. And also as we checked for the JSON, you can use this method. And there is something called raw, so it is just directly reading the binary thing, so that you can so for different use cases you can use different things. As I said, you can use custom headers as well. So the request header, there are something called request header and there is something called response header. So for the request, what are all the headers, and for the response, what are all the headers. So you can split it like that. And there are you can also have the authentication methods here. So basic auth and digest auth and OAuth, or there are multiple auths. So for each and every application, it's depend on the application developer for what to use it. And you can also use for cookies. So let me just okay, so cookies here, right? So what you can do is for some web applications, what it will restrict is whenever you are giving a request, right? So for cookies itself, there will be a separate API, and the API will generate a cookies, and you can set the cookies for all the requests. Then only the request will happen, be it a get or post. So mostly what people will do is the first API, even in the script, the first API call would be for the cookies or even for the API key generation. So now for API key generation only, they'll pass the key in terms of cookies. So for that, you can what you can do is you can just give a API call. So here in this case, right, this is the API call http example.com setting URL, and you are just giving a request dot get here, and inside the cookies, what you are getting is a key. Consider this as a API key. So now for all these for all the remaining API calls, what you can do is you can just print these URLs, attach this cookies. So attach all these cookies inside the remaining URLs. Now only your key will get invoked via the cookies and it will work. So many web applications will restrict this. So if you see most of the Cisco applications, so all the Cisco products like Meraki or be it DNAC or many no, like Cisco applications, they will have these kind of keys inside the cookies. And there is something called NetSweeper. So NetSweeper usually used to set all these keys inside the cookies. So each and every web application or a product has its own standards. Few might use a simple authentication mechanism called basic auth, or few might use API keys, and few might also use these kind of a cookies, storing the keys inside the cookies. So it's our so once we see the application and they once we read their Swagger document, then only we will be able to do this. So there is also something called pagination in this request. Pagination is nothing but like you can limit the output. So say if it is a very big output, you can limit the output with the pagination technique. where only this many pages of your output will be returned first, and you need to give the output, you need to request again for the next 20 pages. So you can also limit kind of thing, these kind of things. So these are all the request HTTP methods standards which you can use it. So again, it's totally depends on the web developer who has designed this application. So I guess you have had some rough idea, and also how to use this request module. So I'll try to create some other most detailed video, or we'll see a real time application, and we'll explore further methods that are available. Feel free to go over this documentation. Yeah, thank you guys. Subscribe, comment, like, comment, and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you.